Добрый день. Извините, что мой русский язык чуть-чуть примарный, элементарный и медленнее, что если вы не против, я буду говорить по-английски. Извините тоже, если украинский язык абсолютно нету, но будем работать для этого. So, in English it's fine, yes? Okay. So, thank you very much, Roman, for your presentation. Thank you very much for giving me the possibility to meet you. Of course, history is sometimes pleasant, and I can imagine the pleasure, the certain pleasure that my grandparents, which are up in the sky, are taking, watching me now, their great-grandson, talking with young, positive, creative, but most important, free young Ukrainians here in the middle of Kiev. So thank you for this pleasant moment. Well, as you probably know, my grandfather was forced to emigrate in 1917. He was considered as the terrible criminal, speculator, banker, enemy of all classes. Lenin said that he was the butcher of the Russian people. So he had to go. And after my father, I was born in Paris a long time ago already. And as many immigrants, as many family living in immigration, I didn't find my roots in France very much, even if I liked very much this country. So I was born in Paris, I was educated in Paris. I was, in 1975, I was starting MBA at the ESSEC Business School. It's a French business school, like many French people do. And after graduating in 1979, I was very lucky because my first company, which was Zodiac, it was an inflatable boat company, which now makes a lot of equipment for air toboggan and a lot of high technological equipment. This company sent me to the USA. So I was lucky enough to be in the USA for 9 years, from 1981 to 1990. And really speaking, I have a great respect for the United States. It's a great country, and I wish that you all can have this experience, because to be able to do what people want is really a big plus in life. After in the US, I was very my main client was the Calypso boat and the Captain Cousteau, so it was kind of a very nice work, selling inflatable boats in Florida. And then I met the Calypso team. They teach me how to dive. And basically, for the next 20 years, I forgot about business, and I went diving with the Cousteau team, which was a great experiment. Not so good for money, but fantastic for discovering the world. So up to 1998, where I got involved in a dive accident, and then I had to think about business for my old years. And then I was wondering a little bit how I could get back into a normal business life. And then something happened. My father already went to Ukraine, and he told me, Michel, well, you have to go to Ukraine. It's a great country. It's a country of your grandfather. And, well, he was an old man, but he told me if I was a little younger, I will go to Ukraine, and I will try to make my living there. It's everything there. So I say, well, finally I went to discover Ukraine. And you know, basically, to put a Terestchenko in Ukraine on Ukrainian land is like to put a fish in the water. Everything was great. And I was not prepared to that. I'm definitely an admirer of the sea. I like, but I decided to see what I can do in Ukraine with the same spirit of entrepreneurship that probably most of you have here today. And I made a few considerations about Ukraine. If the French or the Russian like very much to work for big companies, if they like to be close to the power, close to the golden lights of the power, well, the Ukrainians are more like the American. They are very entrepreneur. And I could see in my first coming in Ukraine, my first meetings, that there was almost at every lunch we could start a new company. People were very creative, and they were counting in their head much faster than the Americans do. And it didn't happen one day without a proposal, either for business, either to buy a flat, to sell a flat, to buy another one, to make another one, to do some plans. I said, my God, those people are incredibly creative. And I was pleased because I had a little bit the same problem in France, but then I felt good. And I was wondering how Ukrainian could have lived such a long time under the communist system. And I say, well, probably the communist system didn't die because of the charms, because of the attraction of the West, but it died because of the development of the Ukrainian mentality within the Soviet Union. And that's good. So I was pleased to see this new country starting. Obviously, there are some problems which are inherited from the former Soviet regime. I understand that at this time, to steal the state was to steal nobody. So people learned a lot of bad habits. And especially people of my age now in Ukraine, I think there are a serious problem for Ukrainians. But whatever, they will go, and the new generation will come, and hopefully quick, and hopefully you'll make a very nice, new, modern Ukraine, which will be very successful. In fact, my grandfather always told me that before the 1917 revolution, Ukraine was one of the most populated countries in Europe, and by far one of the most educated countries in Europe. And everybody knows about the Ukrainian land and the farmland and the possibilities that there is in this agricultural sector, breadbasket of the world. And everybody knows that in Ukraine you have almost all the elements of the Mendeleev table. So why Ukraine is not the first country in Europe? I just don't understand. I think history was very cruel. History was a tragedy for you and your parents. But now this is past, and it's a fantastic opportunity for someone from Ukraine first, and also from the West, to come to Ukraine and to try to make it, because this country is going to make it back. It's going to gain again in its #1 spot in the world, or at least in Europe, as it should be. It will take some time, 1 generation, 2 generations, but it's a very promising land. So I considered this, and on the other hand, I was discussing with a lot of young Ukrainians who told me, oh, you have a French passport. Please, I mean, try to get me a visa. I would like to go there. To find me a sponsor in France. Try to get someone in the US so I can go study and maybe stay there. And I think it's a very big misunderstanding. A lot of Ukrainians already try to believe that the sun is brighter in the US or in Western Europe. And a lot of them try to make their living there. They believe that they will be welcome. They believe they will have huge salaries. They will believe that everything will be successful. Well, it's possible. A few of them will. But most of them probably will not succeed as much as it could have succeeded here in Ukraine. Plus, their country, your country, a little bit my country, need those people, need you. So I think one of the main tragedy of Ukraine is that there is a lot, but very few people see it. And because the history was so rude, people try to find something better elsewhere. So I told to myself, well, let's see, let's do it in Ukraine. Let's see what we can do. Because after all, if I say that, and if I believe it's not right for the young people to try to find a job, to try to live in another country, I should first see what it is. So I can, after that, maybe demonstrate a little bit better, first to my children, and also to my friends, and maybe to my fellow Ukrainians, what it could be. So I went back to Ukraine, and I went to the very origin of my family, which is in the Sumy Oblast, in the small city of Glukhiv. I still have a problem to pronounce this name, but it's Glukhiv, Glukhiv, something like that. And I was extremely well welcome, very, very emotional. And people remember even more than I remembered, obviously, the time of my grandparents and grandparents. It was for me a lot of new things that I learned, because in fact my grandfather I never met. He died when I was 2 years old, and even when he was living, he didn't say anything about his life in Ukraine or in Russia to my father, so we did not know much. My grandfather took my father to the Louvre Museum many times. They were admiring masterpieces of many painters, but he never told his son that at what time he had 15,000 masterpieces of art in Kiev. Nobody knew. And we just knew that he had been a minister in the Kerensky government. We just knew that he tried to bring democracy and he tried to bring reform in a very authoritarian country. But we knew that the family was sugar makers, but that's all we knew. So whatever they had done, whatever the hospitals, the churches, the universities, the museums that they built, they never told us anything about that. So it was fantastic to learn it from the Ukrainian people. And I could understand a little bit more the nostalgia of my grandfather because after he died, when I was 14, I tried to learn the Russian language. And for me, it would have been very useful, especially today. And so at school, it was possible to take Russian as a second language. So I registered. And the evening, I went to see my grandmother. And I told my grandmother, "Mommy, I'm so happy. I will learn the Russian language next year in school." And she looked at me with terrible eyes. And they said, "You will kill your grandfather a second time. Don't do it." So I learned German, which I never used, and then I'm missing the Russian a little bit. So there was a big nostalgia, so big that even if my grandfather always refused to take another nationality than the Russian nationality that he was born with, he decided not to tell us, not to tell his son, not to tell anybody in his family. So basically for me it was only good news, fantastic. No nostalgia, but only good, superb information and remembrance from the people. So, I was wondering what to do. I went in Glukhiv, and then the people told me, well, there are 45,000 hectares of land in the Glukhiv region. Nobody wants them. We are in 2004. Say the land is good, but only 7,000 is working, 38,000 is not working and has not been working for 10 years. And, well, nobody wants it because it's far from Europe, from the West, it's far from the port of the Black Sea. So in this desolated area of Ukraine, well, please help us to put this land back to work. And in fact, they asked me, they told me in the first meeting we had with them that they already agreed to rent us the land, which I absolutely did not know what to do with. So I say, well, thank you, we'll look at it, but I didn't accept immediately. And then I went to the family residence in Glukhiv, and in the family residence in Glukhiv became the Institute for Lubianic Culture, which is the plants with fibers. It's linen flax, lyon. It's also canoplia, which is hemp. Well, hemp, I decided to wait a little bit for some reason, and I tried to see what we can do with linen flax, because if people had land available, if in this area was the former Soviet Institute for Linen, I guess it could be good to start it again. And as my family, 150 years ago, brought a new technology to this area of Ukraine, bringing the production of sugar, I tried to see what I checked, and I said that the sugar production in this area will not be profitable anymore because this business moved already to the west and to the center of Ukraine, but it's not. We don't have the same harvest in the north that people have in the south, so it will not be so good. So I wondered what I can do on this land, and what would be better than the other farmers could do, so this land would be profitable. And plus, for me, it was a great willingness to see if we could create some work for the people on the spot. So not only farming and shipping the grain abroad, but harvesting and transforming the harvest locally, so people could find some work in these somehow desperate places of Ukraine. And also, having been with Cousteau many years, I tried to bring something to the planet. So it will not be only making money, but it will be a little bit useful for people. So I looked at the linen flax with the help of French and Belgian and Dutch specialists, and then I found that there is a new industry which is opening for linen now, which nobody is doing.
Can you just share your opinion how the entrepreneurs like you can help reviving the lands?
Well, with the help of God. Well, again, I had very little background in agriculture, except with seaweed, a little bit in Philippines and Madagascar, but it's very far from Ukrainian land. I can tell you my first experiment in flax, if you're interested. Well, first, when I was in Glukhiv, people told us there is many tens of thousands of land available, and I could check that it was good land, especially if my grandparents used it when they were so wealthy and could take any land. If they had taken this one, it's because it was one of the best. So I knew it was good land. But I went to France, talked to many agro companies, so they will come to help to take some land. And some companies finally did. Very strangely, all the companies that did are companies whose president came to Glukhiv and paid a respect to the tomb of my grandfather, my great-grandfather. So it was kind of surprised to me that everybody who came, who went to the crypt of the Tree Anastasia Church, where my great-great-grandfather is buried, the one you had in the picture, accepted to work. In fact, I remember the president of Champagne Cereal, which is a very large company, a French agro company, which has 2 million tons harvest every year. And they own two plants, which make malting plants in Chernigov and Kharkov, and through the company Malterop, which is one of their subsidiaries. And I went to Reims many times. I told to the president of Champagne Cereal, I told him, you know, Glukhiv is just between Kharkov and Chernigov. Why don't you come here, make your malting barley here, and you can ship it after that to one plant or the other. And it took me 3 years to get it to come. And finally, he called me on 15th of January 2006, and I remember it was minus 25, and he told me, well, Michel, you have been 3 times in Reims, now I have a good news for you. I'm coming to Ukraine the 25th to the 27th of January, in 10 days, and I can give you 1 day. Take me to your place, and I will look at the land you're talking about to me, and we'll take a decision. Because the idea is good, but I want to see the land. So he came 25th of January. We started the car in Kiev, minus 31. And we drove to Glukhiv. We are the only one on the road. It was a terrible road at the time. And we arrived. Obviously, in January, in the middle of winter, the land was frozen. Snow was meter high. The night started at 3:30 in the afternoon, just when we came there. So basically, he didn't see anything. And we went to the church. He went in the crypt. We paid some respect to my family there. And no, obviously, the priest came, opened some vodka, everything was good, and then we left. And then on the way back, I told him, well, President, I'm sorry, you didn't see much. But I said, well, what are you feeling? Are we going to do this project? And he looked at me and he said, yes, we'll do it. And then they took here 18,000 hectares of land, which now are still developing very fine. So I think the energy is there. There is nothing that I choose, there is nothing that I can do. I just follow whatever I believe my ancestors were willing to do. And they are such a big energy, and they did so much for their fellow Ukrainians. And so I believe the only thing to do is just to try to do what they would have done. and to try to follow them. So this is my only energy, just to try to be at the level of, at least in the spirit, because in the means it's quite different, of what they were doing.